What is up, everybody? You know what time it is. Wind Valley Park, of course. We're back here in Planet Coaster in Wind Valley Park for episode 55, and we're going to get to work back in this family area, the USA Dreamland, as I'm kind of calling it, I suppose. We're gonna get a lot done today, so you're not gonna want to miss any of this, because it's been a while since we've been back into the park, a lot longer than I was hoping for the last episode, but I finally worked my way back into to the park, and we're gonna get a lot done today. We're not gonna finish up this section today, as I kind of predicted. It will most likely be finished going into next episode. So next episode we'll probably finish this up because we got pretty far into it as well. So don't forget about that, and we'll be cruising right along. So if you guys want to watch these episodes live, be sure to go down and click that join button. If you want to join the memberships, it's like $5 a month, and if you do that, you can watch these episodes live, because it's members only for the live streams. Those live streams are eventually released afterwards, so basically you're just getting early access to videos and streams if you do that, just as a thank you for supporting the channel further, but you don't have to. But without further ado, guys, let's get into episode 55 here of Wind Valley Park. Alright guys, before we get started real quick, I'd like to thank my sponsor Dubby for sponsoring this video. And be sure to use code JLWGames on your next purchase for 10% off. Thanks Dubby for the sponsor. Alright, so for kicking things off, we're going to start off with a nice, beautiful fence for this teacup ride that we placed in the last episode. So this teacup ride used to be over by Star Rush, the B&M Hypercoaster, but we removed it and put it into storage, and now it's getting relocated into this section of the park. So this park's going to have a lot of family rides, a lot of kid rides, and we're also actually going to add another static ride in here because Planet Coaster does not have like very small children rides like where little small kids can ride, and because I found a really good blueprint on the workshop that has kind of like it's kind of like what is it called, Frog Leap or something like that. It's one of those little mini launch towers, like that's like what, 15-20 feet tall, if that. It's like for little kids that want to do like a drop tower kind of, but it's like a tiny little mini drop tower. It actually works out really well. So for the pathing here, I actually went ahead and just did a lot of grid stuff, and then when I get around kind of those other stuff, I go off grid. So that's kind of like, if you want to do big paths like this and everything, that's all you really got to do is just stick to your grid path and then kind of form it around your area, and then just kind of use your curved paths around that, and then just go ahead and smooth it out a little bit, you know, and it actually works really well. At least it worked really well for me here, and we're still not perfectly done yet. And then once you get some planters and decorate your paths and stuff like that, get your curbs and all that stuff, it will actually start looking pretty good. So that's where that's going to go. But this is that little ride I was talking about, the little static ride. We're going to change the colors here to red, white, and blue because this is an American themed area, so we're going to go with that. And then we have to build a little ride platform for it as well. So I create this little kind of pad, this little ride platform for the ride, and then I have to create a little mini operator's booth. Now I do create this little operator's booth. If you guys want this operator's booth, I did upload it to the Steam Workshop while I was recording this and doing the stream. So I do make this little it's a really small one, so you can use it for like smaller rides and for like rides like this, and you can probably fit it into some of the flat rides as well if you want to use it as well. It does use Theme Maker's Toolkit items, so just keep that in mind. In fact, I think the majority of this is Theme Maker's Toolkit items, but for it to turn out the way I wanted it to, I think it was very, very necessary, because obviously you have an operator's booth, and then we get that little staff member in there. That's all Theme Maker's Toolkit. The only thing that's not Theme Maker's Toolkit in this, I think, are the corner pieces, the little corner wood plank pieces. Those are in game, and then the art shapes, little square for the floor. I think that's the only thing that wasn't Theme Maker's Toolkit that I used in this this little build, but that's all right. If you want a nice little operator's booth, again, I did put this on the workshop for you guys to use, and it's a nice little operator's booth that turned out pretty cool. So it also used this chain too, because I wanted to put a chain across, so you know, it's operators only. Operators only. I can only go in there to the control room. So anyways, I wanted to make it look a little bit more like an operator's booth by putting in filing cabinets, a binder, an AED, fire extinguisher, and a few other assets, you know, and a little stool, and of course the staff member himself. And then of course I did want to put in some lighting. I think I do it a little bit later, but I put in a little light above him so it lights up the booth as well. So I had to make a little custom roof as well, because all the in-game roofs are a little bit too big, because this booth is supposed to be really tiny, really small, so that's what I went with. So I had to create everything kind of like piece by piece to make this work, but it did turn out really, really good, and I'm really happy with how this little tiny operator's booth turned out. So if you guys want to use this, I do have it on the workshop again, so be sure to check it out and download it, and you can use it for your guys' parks as well, whatever you want to do. So go in, and again, this is also Theme Maker's Toolkit for this lamp and this light that I put in for this operator. I was going to have it hanging from this chain, but it was a little bit, it would have been hanging down a little bit too low, and it would not be good for our operator to hit his head on, so we decided to get rid of the chain and just put like a plank coming across for its support, so to support it. And then I just put like an in-game light to actually light it up on the bottom. So it turned out pretty cool, and my game started to freeze when I tried to save it as a blueprint, because I was going to use it for different rides in the park as well, so I'm not going to just use it for this one. I'm going to use it for the other rides as well. I do have a large operator's booth too. This is a small one. I actually created a large one not too far back too, so I have two different ones now. I got this one and then the larger one as well. So if you want a little larger operator's booth, you can do that as well. My game tried to crash there. Again, I always tell everybody, if that little prompt comes up saying your game is about to crash, like it's saying like Planet Coaster's not responding, would you like to end the game now? Always push no. Trust me, always push no. It will respond within seconds after that comes up every single time. So sometimes when you get an autosave, or you're trying to do something like save a blueprint or something, sometimes that prompt will come up. Just push no on it. Just trust me on that, and it will respond right away. So it happens to me all the time. But anyways, so you can avoid losing any progress and such. But I use this is my big operator's booth that I have in my workshop as well. I decided to use it for my Teacups ride, and then I used the small one on the Aeronauts as well. So we're going to put in a couple of shops here for the quick service restaurant that's going in right here. I still have to detail that building a lot. I just wanted to get a little bit in there. And then, of course, we had to make a fence for our little flat rides here. That way they have a little perimeter fence going around. So I decided to go ahead and do that for this ride, and we do that for basically all the rides. I think in this episode we get all that perimeter, or all those fencing up. So, but yeah, this ride, I didn't have anything going in this spot, so this was perfect for this ride to go in here. Coaster Gnome, thank you for the suggestion of getting this ride in here as well, because there needs to be a lot more kid rides in Planet Coaster, and there's not any like small children's rides, you know, like really for like little kids. That's not actually a thing in Planet Coaster. So they have some family rides, but they don't have like small children, like super small children rides that I think they should have. So I put in these little gates there, and then of course we have to finish up the queue line. And this is a fake queue line because it doesn't actually connect to anything, but I made it look like it is real, but it isn't. So nice little trick there. And you just kind of sink that queue line into the platform, because no one's going to be going into it anyway, so it works quite well actually. So anyways, I had to give a little staff building here for our staff, because I didn't want our staff to quit on us, so we want to make sure we have those. And then some more fencing here. So you might notice that this episode is basically just going to be one big time lapse. Typically, I know for Wind Valley I like to do a combination of real-time footage and then also time-lapse footage. This episode, unfortunately, is just going to be a time-lapse, because all it was a lot of tedious and fast work like this, nothing that I really thought I really need to do real-time footage for. I just mainly focused on trying to get a lot of this stuff done. So it's just a lot of work that just kind of goes into this episode. So I know a lot of people like it when I do the real-time footage and kind of mix it in with the, I've been getting away from that a little bit, and I know I've been doing more time lapses, but it's really easier editing-wise just to get this out here. And if I do feel the need to have real-time sections, I will, but for this particular episode, it just seemed like I didn't really need to, because it's mostly just tedious work that is just a lot of curves, fencing, and everything like that, because I really got all the rides already placed and everything. The only thing I really need to do is detailing and actually get the areas to look nice and actually look realistic, and everything like that. Not just plopping the stuff down and building them. You gotta actually go in there and do these little tedious pieces, the little tedious work and everything like that. So in this episode, we get a lot of that done, actually. So I was surprised. This episode's pretty long, mostly because I have over 2.5 hours of footage here. I, for the longest time, forgot to push play to actually get the season going, the year going, because again, we are using the in-game years as our years in game. So we're at year 54, and I have to stop at year 55 because that's when the next episode starts. So I had to remember to keep that in mind. But sometimes I pause and forget that I paused, but it's not a bad thing because we got a lot done in this episode. So I'm pretty happy about that. That we actually did get a lot done in this episode for that. So I neglected it for so long in the episode, but I decided to finally start doing some queue line and the exit for the spinning coaster. And this was going to be a challenge because to make this look good and also get the path all the way back down there was going to be a challenge. So I didn't need like the longest queue line of all time because these are all kind of family rides and they don't need super long queues. So same with this coaster, it's going to have the longest queue in this area, but it doesn't need to be super crazy long, and it's going to get pretty long just from getting the station, getting the pathway up to that station. So this was another issue I had to figure out was the exit path, getting the exit path also back down. So I had to rearrange the queue line a little bit to get it to work out, and it actually did work out in the end the way I finally did it. Now, the other thing I got to worry about is how ugly this looks initially, because I built this and I was just like, man, how am I going to make this actually look pretty decent? And the simple solution is what I use a lot of times is just to use rock work as the supports, and it actually goes a long way. Some rock work and some foliage can go a long way to make your elevated paths look a little bit better. And because it just gives that natural look, and it kind of adds some beauty to it for a little bit. And it's a little bit of a cheap way to kind of make it work, but it works. And as of right now, I'm using the in-game fencing for this queue and exit, mostly because it would be such a pain in the butt to probably do all custom fencing up here. And I think the in-game fence looks just fine for these paths that I'm using. The only reason I would want to do custom fencing is if I have like a lot of switchbacks and such, which for this I do not have a lot of switchbacks. It's just a lot of stairs and kind of winding around. So since I don't really have to worry about any of that, I decided to kind of just use the in-game fencing for once in this. And you could say I'm lazy for doing that, which is very, valid. I don't blame you if you call me lazy for that. But I think the fencing that is currently in there has the look that I want, and it's fine the way it is. I did a lot of custom fencing for the flat rides, so that hopefully will slightly make up for it. But this is going to be the entrance building for the spinning coaster, which I think we're going to be calling Liberty Spin, which will be really cool. And I'm not finished with this building, and it still doesn't look great just yet, even after we're done here. But so I'm going to be working on that a lot more in the next episode. It's one of the buildings I got to finish up for the next episode, but I knew I had to get started on it at least a little bit in this one to kind of get us going. So I wanted to really create like this really cool, just bell tower and everything like that. It's going to have like a bell tower. This area is going to be a little reminiscent of Fireman's Landing at Silver Dollar City, so a little inspiration comes from that. When you look at like Firefall and the Firehouse play place and everything, is kind of where this building's going to kind of get its inspiration from. Obviously, it's its own thing, but it is going to have a little bit of inspiration from that as well. So you're going to see a lot of red, white, and blues, though. That's another difference as well. It's just all red, white, and blues, because obviously that's kind of the color scheme and theme that we're going for this area as well. So I wanted to put a little bell tower in here just to kind of give it that little extra. And also, this building being tall will kind of cover up those pathways behind it, because I don't want those pathways to be super visible from the pathway down below. So like when you enter, you're not going to enter the area, you're not going to see all those ugly paths everywhere. Again, I'm still trying to make it look better with the rock work and foliage and everything, and I think I do a pretty decent job with that in the end overall. But yeah, we still have a lot of work to do to get this area complete. So a lot of I've been off and on just doing little planters like this so I can get it done eventually. So I've been doing once in a while, like once I'm done working on something, I'll go and do a quick planter with that mulch and stuff. So I forgot I also had to recolor those trains as well. So we got the aeronauts here, got to do the fencing for it as well, and we already have the little operator booth, but it still needed its fencing, so we had to do that. That's why I said this episode has a lot of fencing, a lot of scenery, and a lot of tedious work in it, because we have to get all that done to kind of progress this section, because obviously the first episode we kind of just got everything in place, and in this episode we're really starting to do the fine detail, to start on the fine details a bit, to start to get it to look a little bit more complete. We're still got a long ways to, we still got a lot of stuff to do in the next episode, but I think I'm confident that I can get everything done by next episode, but we'll just have to kind of wait and see where we're at on that. So, but yeah, I think we have a good selection of rides and attractions for this area. I hope it is successful with the guests, and that the guests are going to ride all these rides. With the Teacups ride in its previous location in the park did not do well at all. I think it got maybe 20 riders over the course of like a ton of years, so that's obviously not good. So I figured maybe changing the location to a very popular section would help. So this will hopefully be a pretty popular section. We're gonna have lots of rides in here, multiple coasters, and hopefully that will drive attendance towards people to go to that ride. So that's what I'm hoping, and it's right next to the entrance for the spinning coaster, which will probably be should be the most popular ride in this area. So hopefully that will maybe drive people to want to go ride the Teacups as well. It doesn't have a very huge excitement rating, so it's very essential, I think, that I get all the queue line scenery up to 100, which I think is going to be pretty easy as long as we're doing like these planters and custom fencing, because that all counts towards it. And since I did a lot of the planters here, this also obviously helped the for the aeronauts, the balloon ride here, also push it as well. So I think that's actually pretty awesome as well. Like having those planters and mulch pieces actually just kind of helps with that the pathing and everything there. So it does help a lot. So you might notice that there's a lot of path there, and thanks for noticing if you have. I actually do want to do a centerpiece in the middle of that big path right there, because that's going to be like a huge plaza. I don't know exactly what I want to do. I think I might just do some planters of some sorts, maybe some sort of centerpiece or something. But it's not going to be just that big, open, boring area. We are going to do something like that in the next episode. We're going to actually add like a centerpiece or something to make that look a little bit better, because obviously just having a one big open path isn't as eye candy. You know, it's kind of an eyesore kind of if a path is just that wide open. So you kind of want to put something in there to kind of spice it up a little bit. So I think we're going to do that eventually for that. But we basically get this done right here, the fencing and stuff for the little swing ride, kids swing ride, and that's about it for this episode. So hopefully we'll get everything done in the next episode. So thanks you guys for sticking with me with this long episode, and hopefully it won't be too long for the next one. I said that last time too, but it still was, what, weeks before since the last episode, so I apologize for that. I didn't get back to this project. I have so much going on right now when it comes to projects that, you know, I have to make room for each and every project that I'm doing right now. I probably am overloading myself with projects, so because I have that mini series going on as well that we have to figure out. But that's gonna about do it for this episode, guys, as we get some of the safety signs in, and that's kind of where we kind of end today's episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe for more amazing content like this, guys. And I'm going to catch you guys in the very next live stream, episode, whatever you might see next. But thank you guys so much, and I will catch you guys next time. Thanks, and goodbye.